They say your wedding day is the happiest day of your life. And honestly, for me, it felt like something out of a movie. The white roses, the soft violin music, the way he looked at me when I walked down the aisle. Like I was the only woman in the world. His name was Daniel. Charming, sweet, gentle, and with just the right amount of mystery. My friends used to joke that he seemed too perfect to be real. I laughed them off. I thought I had found the one. We danced all night. He whispered promises into my ear. About a future, a house by the lake, 2 kids and a golden retriever. He was everything I ever wanted. After the last guest left, we went up to our hotel suite. He kissed me gently, pulled me close and said, "Sleep tight, Mrs. Carter." I smiled and drifted off in his arms. I never imagined that would be the last time I'd ever see him. The next morning I woke up to silence. The spot beside me was empty. The pillow was cool. He hadn't just gotten up. He'd been gone a while. Checked the bathroom. I figured maybe he went out to get coffee or breakfast. But hours passed. No call. No text. Nothing. By noon I was pacing the room, my heart pounding. I tried calling him. Straight to voicemail. I called his best friend, Josh. He sounded confused. Said he hadn't heard from Daniel since the wedding. That's when the panic truly kicked in. Called the hotel front desk. No one had seen him leave. No security footage, no cab pickup, no checkout. It was like he had vanished into thin air. Called the police. They told me to wait 24 hours. I tried to keep calm, but everything inside me was screaming. Something was wrong. Very wrong. That night I went through his things. His suitcase was still there. Clothes, toothbrush, everything. Except his phone, wallet, and passport were missing. I opened his laptop, more out of desperation than hope. It was locked, but I knew his password. He trusted me, right? Opened. First, everything looked normal. Some work files, travel photos, emails. I clicked through them, hoping for some clue. Then I found a hidden folder. Buried deep in his documents. It was password protected. And suddenly, it hit me. He once told me his mother's maiden name was Ravens. I tried it. The folder unlocked. Inside were dozens of photos. But they weren't of me. They were of another woman. Blonde. Elegant. And in several of the photos, she was in a white dress, standing next to Daniel. At the altar, my stomach dropped. I clicked through, breath shaky, heart racing. There were videos too. One showed them kissing under a floral arch. Another cutting cake. The date in the corner read just 6 months ago. I slammed the laptop shut, hands trembling. Who was she? Was I the other woman? Or was she? Or were we both part of something we didn't understand? The police finally got involved the next day, after I filed a missing person report. But there were no updates. No trace of Daniel. And when they tried tracking his passport, they discovered something chilling. There was no record of a Daniel Carter born on his supposed birth date. No ID trail before 2020. It was as if he didn't exist before he met me. I was married to a ghost. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that folder. About that woman. I needed answers. So I went back to the laptop, this time digging through his emails. One email caught my eye. It was short. No subject. No name. Just a message that read, "Meet me in the red room. Bring nothing. Leave everything." Attached was a location. A warehouse. An address 3 hours away. I should have gone to the police. I should have sent someone else. But something inside me, curiosity, fear, rage, told me to go alone. So I packed a bag, charged my phone, and drove into the night, not knowing if I was heading toward the truth or a trap. The GPS led me off the highway and down a stretch of broken road. Cracked asphalt turned into gravel, and before long, I was staring at a rusted gate chained loosely shut. Beyond it stood a warehouse. Old, silent, and somehow humming with tension. I parked, left the engine running, and stepped out into the darkness. Every instinct screamed for me to turn back. But I didn't. I needed answers. The gate creaked as I pushed through. My heart pounded with every step toward the looming metal building. The front door wasn't locked. I pulled it open and was greeted by the echo of my own footsteps. It was empty mostly, except for one corner bathed in red light. The red room. I approached cautiously. A single hanging lamp cast eerie shadows across the walls. In the center was a chair. And on the chair, a black briefcase. No one else was there. I scanned the area, whispered hello into the stillness. No answer. My fingers hovered over the case. A yellow sticky note was stuck to the lid. You deserve the truth. Just not all of it. I opened the briefcase. Inside were documents. Hundreds of them. Fake IDs, passports, different names, photos, aliases. All Daniel. But in every ID he was someone else. An investment banker. A travel photographer. Writer. A guy named Neil, another named Marcus. He had lived a dozen different lives in the last 5 years. And then I found it. A photo of the woman from the wedding photos. There was writing on the back. Subject, Elise Weller. Status, monitored. My hand shook. Monitored. What was this? Was he stalking her? Oh, there was more. I pulled out a folder marked Target Files. And inside was a picture of me. Froze. Next to my photo was a profile summary. My job, my family, my social media habits, notes about how I handled stress, even details about how I responded when my dog died last year. Things I'd never told anyone. Tears stung my eyes. Who was this man I married? Then I found the final document. A psychological evaluation of me. Signed by someone named Dr. Langston. I read it over and over, my mind barely processing it. Subject shows high emotional intelligence, deep empathy, but naive trust instincts. Perfect candidate for long-term emotional bond experiment. Progress. Ahead of schedule. I dropped the file. This wasn't love. It was an experiment. I was chosen. Studied. Suddenly, a voice echoed behind me. Didn't expect you to find that so soon. I spun around. But there was no one there. Came from a speaker. You're not in danger. Not yet. Daniel's voice. I just needed to know if love could be manufactured. And you were the ideal subject. My breath caught in my throat. He continued. You passed every test. The way you trusted me. The way you fought for us. You even came here alone. That's devotion. That's pure. I shouted into the emptiness. Where are you? What do you want from me? Silence. Then. I want you to understand something. You're not the only one. A second screen lit up on the far wall. A security feed showing multiple rooms. Different women, crying, shouting, some just sitting blankly. In each, there was a photo of Daniel. A different version of him. Different names. Different setups. My knees buckled. He had done this to all of them. And then, just before the screen shut off, I saw her. The woman from the wedding photos. Elise. She wasn't a victim. She was watching one of the screens, writing in a notebook. Observing. Taking notes. She was in on it. Ran. I didn't even grab the briefcase. I just bolted to my car and drove. By the time I reached a town with cell service, the entire address had been wiped from my GPS history. And when I tried logging into Daniel's laptop again, like none of it had ever happened. The police didn't believe me. There was no trace. No Daniel Carter. No aliases. Not even a record of a Dr. Langston. But I know what I saw. And one thing still haunts me. Before the speaker went silent, he said one last thing. You're not finished yet. Your role is only beginning. After that night, I couldn't go back to my old life. Tried. I really did. But every time I closed my eyes, I heard his voice. Calm, calculated, like he was still watching me. I looked over my shoulder everywhere I went. I stopped answering unknown numbers. I even changed apartments. Nothing helped. 3 weeks passed. Then one morning, an envelope arrived under my door. No return address. Just my name, printed in bold black ink. Inside was a single flash drive. I didn't want to look at it. But of course I did. Contained a video. High resolution. Security cam style. Showed me sitting in a cafe. Smiling. Reading. Alone. I remember that day right after my engagement. Daniel had told me he was running late. But someone had been watching me the whole time. Recording me. For how long? The video cut to a woman's voice. Not Elise. Not me. Someone else. Subject has transitioned well through phase 2. Now preparing for integration. Integration. Another file on the flash drive was a PDF. Clinical language. Timelines. The subject's emotional responses are consistent with long-term trust imprinting. She has demonstrated key attachment behaviors required for further programming. The window is now open. What did they mean programming? Began digging. I went back to every photo I had with Daniel. Zoomed in. Looked for clues. In one picture from our honeymoon, he was holding a strange pen. Not his usual one. It looked more like a recording device. In another photo, I noticed a ring he wore just once. I remembered touching it. It had a strange pulse like a tiny electric current. Had I been conditioned? Was I part of some behavioral experiment? The answer came from an unexpected source. Late one night I got a call. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. The message was short. They're watching you again. If you want to end it, come to the old observatory. Midnight. Come alone. I didn't even question it. Had to know. The observatory was abandoned, locked behind a rusted fence. But someone had cut a hole in the chain. I stepped through, flashlight trembling in my hand. Inside, the floor creaked beneath me. Dust coated everything. But the center of the room had been cleared. A single chair facing a projection screen. A man stood beside it. And my heart stopped. Daniel. But older. Thinner. His face was gaunt, eyes sharper, colder. He smiled like he knew me, but not the way he once had. I whispered, "You." He raised a hand. "I'm not who you think I am. That version of me, the one you married, he was a role. Character. But I'm the original." I shook my head. "What do you want from me?" He gestured to the screen. It lit up, showing footage of dozens of women. Some in therapy, some in interrogation rooms, others just living, unaware. "All of them," he said softly, "fell in love with versions of me. All of them were part of a study. But you were special. Why? Because you didn't break. You came looking. You questioned everything. You passed every threshold. You were the only one who figured it out." Tears filled my eyes. "So what now? You kill me." He laughed. "No. I recruit you." Froze. He stepped closer. "The real experiment wasn't about you. It was about us. Me and you. How far trust can be stretched. How deeply it can be programmed. And how, even after betrayal, love can still control the mind. You think I still love you?" Back. He tilted his head. "I think you're here, aren't you?" I turned to leave. I didn't want to hear more. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction. But as I reached the exit, he said something that made me stop cold. "You think you came here on your own. But we planted that compulsion weeks ago." Ran. I don't remember how I got home. That night I found another message under my door. A voice recording. It was Elise. "You were never meant to find out. But you did. That makes you dangerous. Or valuable. One of us will be in touch. Don't run again." Since then I've moved. I changed my name. Erased my tracks. But some nights I wake up with this feeling that someone is still watching. And sometimes I think I miss him. That scares me more than anything else. 'Cause maybe he was right. Maybe I was programmed. And maybe I still am.